Biden, Harris to roll out new executive action on guns. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris announced new executive actions on Thursday to address gun violence, an election-year move that builds the president's legacy on the issue and provides Harris with a fresh opportunity to highlight her leadership as vice president. During a White House event Thursday, Biden is expected to sign an executive order designed to address the trauma inflicted on children by active shooter drills in schools, as well as tackle the threat of machine gun conversion devices, which are small devices that can be made with a 3D printer and turn a handgun into a fully automatic weapon. The actions are timed to this week's one-year anniversary of Biden's creation of the first-ever Office of Gun Violence Prevention, which he launched, in part, to identify additional ways to tackle gun violence from the executive branch without Congress. The joint Biden-Harris appearance, one of a handful since the president turned his re-election campaign over to her in July, will highlight Harris's role overseeing the White House Office of Gun Violence Prevention. It also provides an opportunity for her to lean into her leadership on an issue in her official capacity as vice president while giving her fresh policies to tout on the campaign trail. It's also a legacy-building exercise for Biden, likely some of his last moves on what has been a top policy priority for his White House, from passing the first gun legislation in 30 years to issuing more executive actions on the issue than any prior administration. The event is the culmination of a week of efforts from the White House to highlight the office's work. The White House rolled out a report earlier this week on the office's official anniversary, highlighting the administration's actions, including that, under the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act, enhanced background checks have blocked thousands of gun sales to people under the age of 21 and those convicted of misdemeanor crimes of domestic violence. The White House also touted the drop in violent crime, which Biden is also expected to highlight on Thursday, after the FBI reported that homicides fell by 11.6% nationwide in 2023, and that violent crime overall fell by 3% after a surge during the pandemic. Federal departments and agencies will also announce a range of additional executive actions, including some related to the implementation of the bipartisan gun legislation Congress passed in June 2022 after the Uvalde, Texas, school shooting. Other actions will focus on the safe storage of firearms, implementation of red flag laws, funding for community violence intervention programs, and improvements to the background check system, among other moves. The president's executive order will establish a task force assigned to deliver a report in 90 days to assess the threat posed by unserialized 3D printed firearms and machine gun conversion devices. These devices are already illegal under federal law, but law enforcement have reported increasingly finding these devices on crime scenes, and police believe the shooters in the recent Birmingham, Alabama shooting used conversion devices. On school shooting drills, the president's move directs the Surgeon General and the secretaries of the Education and Health and Human Services departments to develop and publish guidance for schools on how to effectively conduct these drills, while also minimizing unnecessary trauma. Schools are currently using drills to prepare for their shooter situation, but there is very limited research on how to design and deploy these drills to maximize their effectiveness and limit any collateral harms they might cause, said Stephanie Feldman, director of the White House Office of Gun Violence Prevention, in a call with reporters previewing the announcement. Many parents, students, and educators have expressed concerns about the trauma caused by some approaches to these drills. Both Biden and Harris will deliver remarks on Thursday. Attendees will include survivors, advocates, community violence intervention leaders, law enforcement, mayors, and other state and local elected officials. People who worked with Biden and Harris for decades will also be in attendance, as the White House wanted the event to serve as a tribute of sorts to Biden's efforts on gun violence over the last 30 years. As for Harris, attendees will also include people who she worked with as a prosecutor in California.